friends, I'm here to do the beginning of the year book tag. I know it's February, don't come at me, but I just saw Olive's Book Nook talk about this and I thought it was so fun, so I wanted to do this myself. And she just published her video not too long ago, so I don't feel like I'm too late to this party to join this tag, and it's still the beginning of the year technically. So this is 25 questions about my reading and my goals and what this year has in store for me. So let's jump right in. First question, what is your reading goal? My goal for this year is to read 130 books. Last year I read 162. However, this year I want to read longer books. So I think that 130 might be pushing it if I'm going to read longer books. And by longer, I mean like 400 plus pages more often than not. Like, obviously I'm still going to read shorter books because I'm going to pick up what interests me, but I want to get into longer books so I can get into longer series and not be intimidated by these thick books. How has my reading taste evolved from last year? I think after starting to track the audience that I'm reading, like middle grade, YA, adult, I find myself picking up more adult books and not enjoying young adult books as much. But I also find myself becoming a more critical reader because I have to explain what the heck I'm reading to people and my feelings about these books. So I am working hard to articulate what I'm reading and why I do or don't like something. And I think that that has been a new something for me because I've always been able to be like, oh yes, this book is 3 stars. But now I have to say, why is this book 3 stars? What genre would you like to read more of in 2025? I really read a little bit of everything, but I think I do want to pick up some more sci-fi. I really enjoy sci-fi as a genre, but I don't find myself picking these books up very often. So if you have any good sci-fi recommendations, please let me know. I know Red Rising is really good and it's on my radar. I have read a little bit of Andy Weir and I really like his books. I do plan on reading Hail Mary at some point. I really can't think of any other sci-fi authors off the top of my head though. What is your most anticipated book of the year? Bury Our Bodies in the Midnight Soil by V. Schwab. I love V. Schwab's writing and I am so excited for this book. I think it's going to be told just perfectly. I'm not like huge into dual timelines, but I think that she's going to do it right. What is a sequel that you have been anticipating this year? Finley Donovan Digs Her Own Grave. This is the 5th Finley Donovan book. And I feel like number 4 fell a little flat for me, but I always have a good time reading these books. They make me laugh out loud. I love Finley's relationship with her best friend Vero, and they are just so fun. I am also kind of nervous for Finley for when it hits the fan and everything comes out about her shenanigans behind the scenes with her detective boyfriend. So I'm looking forward to the next book. What is a book you will likely reread this year? I will probably be picking up The Hunger Games. It's a classic. I read this when I was in college and I love, love, love these books. I have the whole box set. With the release of Reaping of the Sunrise, which is Haymitch's story, I am excited to visit this world again and just enjoy Katniss's story once again and see how it aged because I haven't reread this book since I originally read them in college. What is a priority read for you this year? I really want to finish The Witching Hour. I actually started this book in like 2023 and I soft DNF'd it because I got halfway through and I was like, I may as well finish it, and I never did. So yeah, I definitely want to finish The Witching Hour this year. Like, I am making it a priority to finish this book. I probably won't read the rest of the series, but as long as I get this one book under my belt, I will be happy. What is a book that you wanted to get to in 2024 but just couldn't? The Princess Bride. When I did my TBR jar, this actually ended up on my TBR, and it was just one of the only books that I couldn't get to that month. So I really want to pick this up. I really hope that it is just as good as the movie, if not better. What series do you plan on reading in 2025? I have two answers for this. My first one is The Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. This book I read a couple years ago. I really enjoyed it. I just didn't get to the rest of the series, so I feel like I need to revisit the first book prior to picking up the rest. Next series that I want to get to is the Scythe trilogy. I'm glad that this is a completed series and I have all three books, but this sci-fi sounds right up my alley and I really want to get to it. I think that it'll deal with some very interesting moral dilemmas and I'm looking forward to it. What is a popular book that you want to read this year? I actually have two. I want to read The Will of the Many. It sounds so interesting, like absorbing other people's powers, and people have said it's like an MLM but for magic. That's all I needed to know about it. I don't know anything else about it. It just sounds really interesting. My next popular book that I want to read in 2025 is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I have seen a lot of people get into dark academia. I'm already into dark academia, and I have not read the original dark academia book. So I think it's time to pick it up and to go for it. What is a non-popular book that you want to read this year? So I think for non-popular, it means like something that I've not seen anybody talk about. That book would be The Oceanography of the Moon by Glennie Vanderall. I really, really liked her book, Where the Forest Meets the Stars. Like, it was such a good contemporary fiction. And this was before I was like reading a lot. So it really stands out to me in my mind. And I have not read another book of hers since, and I don't know why, but I really want to read this one. I think that the cover is stunning, and it's available on Kindle Unlimited. Question 12. What is a book that you want to read purely based off of the cover? And that book would be An Elderly Lady is Up to No Good. This just sounds super cute, but I love that it is like cross-stitched. I don't know what this book is about, but it sounds really cute, and I know that there's a sequel to it as well. And I think this is a translated work. I don't know what language it's from, but I think it's translated. What is a book that you've had on your shelf for a while, but you'll probably never read? That book is Children of Virtue and Vengeance. I read Children of Blood and Bone years ago when it first came out, and I ate it up. And I put this off because it did take a while to get published, and then I tried picking this up last year, and I don't even think I got a chapter into it because I was so confused on what was going on and who these characters were. And I was also listening to the audiobook, and I just was not vibing with the narrator. But I don't think that I'm going to like this book anymore, so I just need to unhaul it at this point, and I'll probably unhaul Children of Blood and Bone. I'm just going to leave it where it is in my mind, that it was a good time when I read it, but I don't think I need to revisit it. What is a book that you've owned for years but haven't read yet? This to me means that I will read it eventually. It's just been sitting on my shelves for a while. That book is Girls of Paper and Fire. I have this book on ebook and physical, and I'm pretty sure I might have the audiobook too. I can't remember if I have the audiobook or not, but I haven't gotten to it, and I don't know why. I think that it was very popular years ago on BookTube, and I just never got around to picking it up. It's still something that I want to read, but it's probably going to sit on my shelf for a while longer because it's not a priority on my TBR right now. What is a book that you think everyone should read in 2025? So last year my favorite book of the year was Vicious by V.E. Schwab, but there's another contender that stands out in my mind, and it's called A Dark and Secret Magic by Wallace McKinney. And I really, really enjoyed this book. I read this book like 4 or 5 months ago, and it is still bouncing around in my head, and I still think about the magic and the atmosphere and the food. Oh my gosh. I definitely think that everybody should read this. It is a loose Hades, Persephone retelling, and it's not perfect, but I really, really enjoyed it, and I think that there's unique magic in it, and if you like witches and magic and love stories, I think that you would like this book. What is a book that you want to tackle in 2025, but you are nervous going into it? I'm nervous to read The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. So I've read Fable and Namesake, and I liked both of those books, and then I read The Last Legacy, and that was okay for me. Just felt like it could have been a standalone. It didn't really tie into the Fable story. I read Spells for Forgetting, and it was not my vibe. I thought that I would love it going into this book because the magic sounded so good, and it was a love story, and I was there for it. And then I read it, and I was like, the magic just disappears like halfway through the book, and this like love story is not that great. I was severely disappointed by the book. I'm a little nervous for The Unmaking of June Farrow because it is a standalone of hers, and I hope that it is a concise story that I feel like fits into one book and is a good book, more on par with Fable. Hey, editing Abby here. I realized that I forgot to answer some questions while I was putting this together. So here are the answers to those questions. Question 16. What is a book that you're saving for a specific season this year? I'm a big mood reader, so I like to read my witchy, small town romances set in the fall. In fall time, I like to read fantasy in winter. Romance is like spring and summer for me. But honestly, I read it whenever. I'm not gonna set aside a certain book just to wait for the season and then have to be cramming like 15 books into a certain season because I just wanted to read it in a certain season. If I'm in the mood for a witchy book, then I will try to pick up a witchy book. Generally, that mood does strike me in the fall, but not always. What is a backlist title from an author that you read in 2024 that you want to read in 2025? Last year, I read pretty much all of Riley Sager's backlist, except I did not get to Final Girls, so that is the last book on the list by him. Question 19. Who is an author that you will not be reading this year? Jodi Picoult. I have tried 2 of her books. The first one was 19 Minutes. It was okay. The second one was Small Great Things, and I did not like it at all. So I will not be reading any more of her books. Who is an auto-buy author that has a book coming out in 2025? V.E. Schwab. I think that is a given at this point. Also on this list is Emily Henry and Abbi Jimenez. They are really good romance writers, and they are setting the bar for the romances that I enjoy, so I will likely be buying their books as well. Who is an author that you have never read before but want to? Brandon Sanderson. I've never read a Brandon Sanderson book. I know he's super popular. I just haven't gotten to his books. I have his Steelheart series sitting on my shelf, but I've just never read a Brandon Sanderson book. What is a bookish goal you have for 2025? So I already told you I want to read 130 books, but I want to read 10 books for my physical TBR, 10 already owned ebooks, because I do have a lot of ebooks on my Kindle app and I just forget about them all the time. So I want to clear some of those off. And I want to read 12 nonfiction, so one every month. And lastly, I want to read a book over 1,000 pages. It's probably going to take me a while, but I do want to read a book over 1,000 pages. Who are some booktube creators that inspire you? So I have 3 for this. So Olive's Book Nook, she's the one that I saw do this tag, and that's why I'm shouting out to her. But also, I just feel like her videos are sitting down with a cup of coffee or sparkling water, having a good conversation about books. Like, her videos are just so cozy and inviting. I don't know how else to describe it. I also feel like we have similar reading tastes, so I always enjoy her recommendations, and I am just along for the ride, and I think that she will steer me in the right direction for good book recommendations. Next is Sid Bookworm. I watched some of her videos, and she mentioned that she was a nurse, so I felt like she was kind of a kindred spirit because I'm also a nurse. And I love her spin the bottle TBR. I think it is so creative, and I really like how she includes her husband and all of her pets in most of her vlogs. I just love that she's willing to share that part of her life with us. And lastly, I have Meg with Books. I think that she is hilarious. I love her video memes that she puts in, and she's just so creative when it comes to her vlogs. Like, she did her year of Rex and picked her family to pick her books, her boyfriend to pick her books, YouTube to pick her books. She went to several different bookstores and had the booksellers pick her books for her, and she just like did all these cool reading vlogs just to find the perfect books for her for that year. It was, yeah, it's very interesting. I also really love her TBR Cluedo game. I think that is also super creative. And she also does not sugarcoat her opinion about books. Last question, what can you expect from this channel in 2025? You can definitely expect to see a video from me every week. That is my goal. Rain or shine, if I get another job or not, hopefully I will be making videos every week. In addition to that, I would like to do more reading vlogs and cooking. I think you guys really enjoy the cooking with my reading. I know I do because I get to eat the food. Maybe I'll do a bookshelf tour. I really enjoy exploring bookshops with you guys. I also want to create my own TBR game. I have definitely been inspired by several creators to do a TBR game, so more to come on that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you're still hanging out with me, leave me your favorite emoji down below in the comments, and I will see you guys soon in a new video. Happy reading. I think I'm in focus. Okay. Yeah. Good job. You're not supposed to sit on me, babes. Sit down. Here. Go ahead and sit. You got hold on pug adjustment. Sit. Get your paw off me, dude. Sit down. Sit. Thank you. Good boy. Okay. And then why are you pouting? You went down? Dude, your breath stinks. You're a stinky dog.